It's Michael White. Anthea will be joining us shortly, so I figured I'd get the ball started. And then once we get started, she'll just kind of pop in and I will let her in, but I will get ready to get the show started. So, with all that being said, and I always say this at the beginning of the video, guys, we're not experts. We don't claim to be experts. We're just looking to add some new value to the space. And what do I mean by that? And that is just newer and different conversations because that's the thing. You're starting to see it on the uprise. People are not saying they're coaches, they're just adding value to the space because that's the thing. There's different perspectives, and through these different perspectives, you're either going to get a new level of understanding or B, you're not going to like it. And, we're just here to offer people a newer level of understanding. That's what we're here to do. So again, a lot of you guys have liked, shared, and subscribed our content, which we thoroughly love. We greatly appreciate you guys being able to do that and rock with us. As I said, we wouldn't be able to do what we're doing without you guys. This is only possible because of you. So thank you again for supporting, understanding, and just, being a part of the family of our podcast. As I said, it wouldn't be possible without you guys. So we really appreciate you guys taking the time to like our stuff. Now, with that also being said, please like, share, subscribe. Any content that we give, you know what I mean? It helps us climb in the algorithm. It helps us grow our channel. We're actually looking to start scaling our channel hugely, so you guys can be a part of it, and then so we can touch more of a broader audience. We're on all platforms, guys. We're on YouTube, as you can clearly see. We're on Instagram. We are on Twitter. We're on all the major platforms that you guys can go and like, subscribe, and please even comment too if you want to. All those things help us climb in the algorithm, which is fantastic. So look, I'm gonna play the promo video. Anthea will be here shortly. We'll start the conversation, and it will be a good old time. So, again, today's topic, let's get into it. Great topic. Everybody wants love, but can they handle the responsibility of a relationship? You see, it's so interesting that obviously, as we know, people out here looking for love, they're looking for a relationship, all those type of things. Hello, Anthea.
Hiya.
um, I was just introducing people to the topic of today's topic of everybody wants love, but can they handle the responsibility of a relationship? And I think it's really important for people to understand is, yes, you might want love, but does your lifestyle or where you're at allow you to be in a relationship? You see,
Hmm.
that's the biggest difference is, can you handle the responsibility? Can you give the relationship the proper time, attention, and energy that it needs to grow?
Question not many people ask themselves, right? They think they want love and they're gonna run into it, and then actually your lifestyle could be so busy
Mm-hmm.
with and filled because you're used to being let's say 2 years and you've built up a certain way of living, and then to be able to open that space for somebody else could be quite difficult actually, because then you've got to move things around. You've got to be able to make yourself available for certain times, where if you'd been quite when you're used to being by yourself, you don't necessarily you don't have to do that for anybody unless you're going out with friends or but So yeah, it's a question that I don't think many people stop and think about, Michael.
I agree. That's the thing I've noticed. People want the love, but they don't want the responsibility that comes with being in a relationship.
Yeah, because you really got to
So
stop and ask yourself and see, have I got that time? Can I give that time? Is it something that I want to do? And once you've answered those questions, and if you've said yes, then you have to make it your responsibility to do that. And you can't make up excuses to the other person to say, "Oh, I've got this
wow,
going on." Yeah,
I love that you said that though, because you see, and again, guys, we're gonna be honest here. You're always going to be busy,
yes,
but you make time for the things that you want.
yes,
So a lot of people will say, well, like, you don't understand, you don't understand. Well, at that point, then clearly you don't want to be in this relationship, because
yeah.
both parties have stuff going on. Doesn't matter if you're single, doesn't matter if you're a single mom, doesn't matter what you have going on. You make time for the things you want. You do. Just off rip, you do.
And if you do start making up excuses, it's not for the other person to have to sit and listen to them.
Exactly. Give me 1 second. Go ahead and yeah.
Yeah, there's no reason for anyone to sit down and have to take on people's excuses. I just don't, at the end of the day, if you're not going to make the time and you're not going to take on that responsibility, let that person know, and don't use words to try and wriggle yourself out of it, because it's very unfair on the other person, because you've said, yes, I want to be in a relationship. And if that's what's been asked and you said yes, then you need to stick to and commit to what you've said. And that goes into anything. It's so many people will say, oh, I'm going to do something, and they don't end up doing it. And
I've
all
been
you
victim of
hear,
that.
yeah, and all you hear is excuse after excuse after excuse. And it's like, well, it's an excuse. You just don't want to be there. You don't want to participate, because if you did, you wouldn't be making up excuses.
Well, that's the thing. I see, what I want you guys to understand is when we talk about responsibility in the relationship context, we're talking about, can you commit to date nights? Are you emotionally available?
Hmm.
They're not going to be emotionally available all the time, because obviously, you have things going on, but are you emotionally available enough to be in the relationship? Number three, sorry, are you physically available? So what I mean by that is, in a relationship, we all know we're adults here. Bedroom fun is going to happen and come up.
Mm,
Are you able to partake or surrender or commit to that?
mm.
Because you might want the relationship, but you might not be like, no, I don't want to, do bedroom fun or whatever. That's part of being in a relationship.
Yeah, and if you're not ready for that, or you don't, or there's sometimes maybe you get on really well with somebody, and then but you don't want the bedroom fun, then again, don't commit to something if you don't want that side of it.
No, because exactly, you have to be able to take all parts of it, because what I've noticed, and again, it's guys and girls, we're not blaming one party or the other. You need to understand, we're here to bring people together, not apart. If you only want the love and you're only picking out the parts that you like, now you're using the person. That's exactly what it is you're doing. You're using the person, because what happens is you're saying, well, I only want this, and then I want to get rid of this, instead of understanding that you don't get to do that. If you're going
Mm.
to be in a relationship with someone, there are certain responsibilities and commitments that come with that.
There really is. It really is. And there's, like you said, there's an emotional side, there's a mental side, there's the physical side of bedroom fun, there's the other physical side of making yourself available for date nights. There's, if they send you a text or a phone call, you've got to be able to respond in some way, and not wait 48 hours before you respond. And then
Agreed.
say, oh, sorry, I had so much to do. Well, I've always said this: if somebody is not responding to you, they're not interested in you. It's straightforward. If they're waiting 3-4 days to get back to you, then because one we've always got to remember is before we go to sleep, that's when we have time before we go to sleep. As you get into that bed, you've got 10 minutes at least before you're going to snooze off. So, and if you really wanted to speak to somebody or communicate with someone, you would do it. You would respond.
I agree. I agree. And you know what? We're actually going to cover the context is, let's say you're in the relationship and you're kind of, you don't want to be in it anymore. You're kind of falling away from the love, or you've fallen away from what it was. It's just you don't want to deal with the responsibility anymore. So that's why I always say just leave. If you're in a relationship with someone, be honest with them. Be like, look, we've tried. Again, if one person is trying more than the other, then the relationship's one-sided at that point. And if they've tried and tried and tried, what else do you want from them? Clearly you can't handle the responsibility. If they're trying to, like, say, hey, we need to go on dates, we need to do this, we need to do this, we need to do this, and you're just like, well, I got this going on, I got this, you're always going to have stuff going on. That's life. That's the thing. That doesn't change. But it's,
No.
can you fit that person into your schedule around the other things that you have going on?
And I think when you're really interested in someone, you will make that time, and you do. It's like if you're building a business, or say even if you're writing a book. People, I've heard so, Michael. If I had, in your language, as in an American side or Canadian, $1 for every time somebody said, I want to write a book, I would have a huge, huge bank account from just that being said to me. Now, if you really wanted to write a book, you would write a book. You'd find the time. I've heard so many times, I don't have the time. I don't know where to start. Actually, you really wanted to write it, you would find time and you would find out where to start. It's just straightforward. If you want to be in a relationship with a particular person, you will find time and you'll know where to start. It just goes, you want to start a business, you would find time. There's
Well,
everything.
I want to cover 2 points, very important points, which I think people need to hear. Number one, you shouldn't be having to beg. If you're in a relationship with someone, you shouldn't have to beg them for date nights or time.
No, that's right.
If they're trying to make the relationship flourish, and you're kind of like, oh, I have the, just let them go.
You've really got to be in alignment, haven't you, Michael? You've really got to be in a place where you want the relationship as much as they want the relationship, and therefore you'll both put the 50% effort in that sense.
100% effort.
Yeah, 100% effort. Sorry, you're very right. Each person puts 100% effort in, and that will work because you're showing up. You're showing. You don't just show up for somebody in a friendship level. You can show up for them, but you're not going to show up for them in the way you will show up for them on a date night. Like maybe you would, as a woman, maybe if I'm meeting up with my friend for a coffee, I might just put some tracksuit bottoms on and just some trainers and a cap and just, meet up quickly. And I'm not saying I wouldn't do that with my man if it was during the day, but if we're going on a date, I'm going to put more effort into myself. I'm going to look after myself more. I'm going to do things because I want to look good at the end of the day. So there's so much, there's things behind a relationship that people don't realize. And that's why so many people get a divorce, Michael, because when they commit in that moment, they're not looking at what the commitment looks like.
Like long term,
they're looking at short term. They're not looking past the first year. They're not looking and really thinking about 30 years down the line. Now, can your mind stretch 30 years down the line? Can you even visualize and imagine what life can be like? Do you know your in-betweens? Because if you don't know the direction you're going in your own life, how are you going to understand the direction you want to go in your relationship?
I agree with that. And that's why I'm going to ask this second question to you, which I think will help a lot of people on both ends. So maybe you'll be able to answer it because it's a double-edged sword. Dating as a single mom, how are you able to handle the responsibility?
I found ways.
Can you
I
like
found,
tell what those ways were
well, I
to
would
give
get
the
my,
audience some
okay,
understanding?
so if I wanted to go out with my man, I would get my sister to come round and babysit, or I'd wait till the weekend, and I'd say, you know, weekends are best for me. And I'd ask, you know, can my mum look after the children? So they would go and stay the night, or maybe if it wasn't a late one, I'd go and pick them up that same night. Or if it wasn't that, I'd ask my sister to come over. Um, or if it was during the week to go cinema or something, let's say, or go out for something to eat, I would find people that were close to me that I could ask to come and help me out, and I would make it happen, Michael. And I think that was the easiest way for me. And like, I suppose if you don't have any family around, and there's like, and I've heard people say that, but I don't have anyone. There's nobody I can turn to. There must be neighbors or people. There must be people you speak to. And I know it's your children, but I think you've got to be able to find someone who is reliable enough, a babysitter who's certified, qualified to be a babysitter, to be able to pay them to come over. There's ways to do these things and make that time, you know. And if not, if you can't go there, then after the first few times you guys have been out, then you can invite them to come to you for a while the children are sleeping. If you don't want your children to know what you're doing, wait till they go to sleep and maybe come over for a little chat. They don't have to stay the night, but you find ways around it.
But I think that's the caveat, right? It's understanding. Don't say, hey, I want a relationship, but you're not willing to make the necessary adjustments and conditions to accommodate that
Absolutely,
relationship.
absolutely, absolutely, absolutely.
And I think that goes for either or. It's just I asked you as a single mom because I know that a lot of, there's obviously women with children and they
Mm-hmm.
want to know how the responsibility part of it comes in or why their relationships are failing. Because again, and I hate to say it, don't call me the bad guy. It's just they have a hard time measuring up to the responsibility.
Mm-hmm.
And it's
I think it's easy, like when you've got male friends in general. Like I had a lot of male friends, so my children knew my male friends from years, from as we grew up, because they were around. So if I'd met somebody, and like I'm going to go into a specific one. When I
yeah.
was 25 years old and I met somebody and I really liked him and he really liked me, like we really did. We were in. Look, you know, we've been out a number of times. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, go ahead. It's
Yeah, sorry.
stuttering a little bit, but go
Yeah, I
ahead.
thought so. Yeah, like we went out a number of times and I used to get the aunties to come round, or my sister, or I'd take the kids to my mum, and after a few times we'd been out, then I'd invited him to mine, because I knew once we established we're going to be in a relationship, I was happy for him to come over to mine, because I knew it was going to be a long-term thing. Now, going forward after that, because he was the first person I'd introduced to my children, I wasn't then willing to introduce, because the relationship ended after nearly 4 years. After that, I wasn't willing to introduce my children to somebody else because they'd already met somebody and it didn't work. So I didn't want to make that mistake, but I had the opportunity at least once to introduce my children to someone. Now, I wasn't in it for term, but it didn't go long term. So then after that, it was like, okay, this is now going to be a bit more difficult to be able to eat, because they're not coming round to mine anymore. That's it. So I've got to be when they're at their dad's house, or when I can go over to there. It's not ever going to be that they're going to come to mine now. But that was a personal decision, because they'd already met one person. I didn't want to meet anybody else. So that become quite difficult when they wanted me to date in. And I suppose that's why I chose at that point to not actually date, because I knew that they couldn't come over to mine. So I kind of stopped that scene until they got older and I was able to leave them at home. And they were like 13, 14. And I was able to go out a little bit more, thinking, oh, they're not babies anymore. So, I took the time out because I knew I couldn't give that time to another person. So you've
Mm.
got sometimes with children, there's, you know, it depends on how you choose to live. Some people don't feel no way and don't think, and I'm not saying, I'm not judging here. Some people don't care if their children meet 3, 4, 5 different people. They see it as part of life, and that's fair enough. And that's an easy, if that's the way you are, then you'll find it easy to be able to introduce, be able to keep a relationship going, because a lot easier, because you're able to have the guys come over to you, and you're not fussed if your children see the guys. Where if you're someone like me I just made that decision, and I think even you knew that, because I'd spoken to you during those times when my kids were those ages, and I wasn't dating. And then when
No.
I did decide to date, it was somebody that I'd known for a while, and I was able to go and stay at his house when I wanted to. And I was able, so, I found ways when I was ready. But again, unless you're ready, just don't do it.
See, and that's I think the whole point of the thing is there's responsibilities that come within a relationship. And it's either you're going to step up or step down. It's very simple. Don't be selfish and date them anyways. Let them go so they can meet the person they're supposed to meet. That's what I would
Yeah.
say, because everybody's different, right? You're going to date and be with different people. They're going to have different preferences, they're going to have different standards. At the end of the day, I would say when it comes to dating, if you can't handle or give the appropriate time, energy, emotional availability, and you're not ready to be intimate with somebody, like not right away, but intimate at some point, don't date them. You just you add up ending to the cycle of bad people, of guys saying, oh, there's bad girls, or you end up adding to the cycle of girls saying, oh, there's bad men.
Yeah, absolutely.
You end up
Absolutely.
adding to that.
And if we're really true to ourselves and we show up and we make these decisions that are good for an overall, then you're very right. It won't be so much that you're going to be saying a negative thing about the opposite sex, because people are not doing that. It's us that put that stigma on ourselves, like showing up and doing these things and saying, yes, I'm ready, getting into it, and then actually hurting the other person because they've made themselves emotionally available. They've opened their heart up to you. And then you go, well, I don't have time for you. Well, that's not very nice. And treat
No, it's
people how
not.
you
And
want to
that's the
be
thing.
treated.
You might like somebody, but it doesn't mean you need to be with them, because your
Yes,
lifestyles might not match.
that's right.
That's the thing. You might love them, you might be with them, they might make you feel some type of way, but if your lifestyles don't match, you can't be together. It is what it is. It's about accepting reality.
Yeah, unless you're ready to move
Exactly.
your
Unless
lifestyle
you're
change.
truly ready.
Yeah, for sure.
And that's why, as I said, for me, it's that honesty. If you're not ready, just say so. I'm not ready. Okay,
Mm,
cool. Thank you for
mm,
your time. You move on, you detach, you date someone else.
yep.
Because at the end of the day, I know myself, even though I have a very busy lifestyle, I will make time for the person that I love and care about. I will make
Yes,
time for them,
yes,
no
yes,
matter
yes.
what it is. And that's the thing, guys. Like, I'm not trying to brag here, but we get up, or I get up, me and Anthea get up early. Like, I get up pretty early to do this podcast every morning. We do it at 7. I'm usually up sometimes around 6:30, 6:20 to do the podcast. So when I'm dating someone, I am willing to commit fully. I'm willing to do the date nights. I'm trying to change my dating style, because I understand that, a lot of the times how I started my relationships was not proper. So I'm willing to do the date nights. I'm willing to commit emotionally. I'm emotionally available. And obviously, as a male, like, I'm in the space where I'm comfortable being intimate with somebody. and going deep with them, like as Stefan says. And that's another thing too in a relationship. Part of being in a relationship is, can you go deep with that person? That's part of the responsibility of letting someone in, because you'll have people dating people and they keep them on the outside.
Yes. Yes. Don't let them in. Yes.
So it's like, why are you dating them if you want to keep them on the outside?
Don't date them.
But it's like you still want them to give you time, attention, energy, all these things, but you want to keep them on the outside emotionally. You don't want to go deep with them. So that if you don't want to go deep with them, it shows that you don't trust them.
Absolutely.
And if you don't trust them, how can you be in a relationship with them? You can't.
You can't. No. Because the thing is, once you start opening yourself up to somebody and you're ready to let that side in, you don't want to do that with anybody and everybody, because your life is personal to you. Right?
Agreed.
So when it comes down to it, if you decided to open up to this person and you're not sure about a relationship, well, stop and don't open up, because
Well, let
until
them
you're
go.
ready, and that's what I mean. Let's just let them know, let them communicate that, because it's not. Otherwise, you're opening up, and then you're going to make yourself you're putting yourself in a vulnerable position, and then confuse yourself because you don't know what to do because you said so much and blah blah blah. And people put themselves in their own rut for no reason, really. Just don't say you want to be in that. Just don't say you want to be with that person in the first place, you know?
Well, just be honest with them in the sense of saying, hey, look, I really like you, think you're a great person, but my lifestyle, or I am not emotionally available,
Mm,
or like, just tell them the truth. You're not emotionally available and you're not in a space to give the person the time and attention and energy that they deserve.
that's right.
Will it
That's
hurt the
right.
person? Yes. Is it the right thing to do?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, because you're better off doing it now rather than keeping that person, like you rightfully said earlier on. By keeping that person, you're stopping them from meeting somebody else
Exactly. That will give them
that
the
will give them.
attention, time, and
Yeah.
energy.
It's one thing getting to know someone and then you're getting to know them over a period of 3 months and then you decide, actually, this isn't for me. You can make that decision. But if you're going into, once you've said yes to a relationship, that's where it changes. But while you're getting to know someone, you haven't really got a time limit on what is the right time, and that two people will know. But then some people, it might take them 3-4 months to, come to that decision together and say, well, actually, and you're not stopping them from getting to know somebody else. Because you're not committing to nothing. So at that point, there's no commitments. It's just you and them. They've got the option to continue to meet other people and get to know other people. And if they choose not to, that's not your problem. They can't then come back and say, well, I held on for you and now you're saying no, because that, again, that doesn't work either, because you've got to take responsibility for you, for your actions, for what you're doing. If you're choosing not to meet somebody else because you're waiting for an answer from one person, or you're waiting to see how that plans out, that's not that person's fault. It's got nothing to do with them. It's a choice you've made. So
I agree,
yeah,
because one of the biggest things, and again, we'll get into it because we got the time. They'll say in a relationship, you don't understand. I've
yeah,
heard this a lot. What you need to understand, guy versus girl or girl versus guy, or lifestyle, different lifestyles, no one's going to be able to fully understand you.
no,
They're never
you,
they can
no.
understand only to a degree.
Yes, because even people don't understand themselves. Never mind asking someone else to understand you
Thank you.
fully.
Well, think about it. And I'm going to use you as a beautiful example, because and this example works. Anthea, you've dated gentlemen without kids, right?
I have.
So what happens is you know what I mean? If you've dated these men and they clearly don't understand your lifestyle of having children, they don't, because maybe they don't have kids of their own.
No, they would never
So
understand it. I couldn't ask them to understand it either.
exactly, you can't ask them to understand. They can try,
Yeah,
which is wonderful.
yeah.
They can try to understand to a degree,
Hmm.
but that's it because they don't live that lifestyle.
No, but then even just a woman saying to a man in general, you don't understand what it's like to carry a baby. Obviously, I mean, that's such an obvious thing. Of course, you don't understand. Can I ask them to understand? No, because you're never going to carry a child in your belly. It's not going to happen. So,
But
how
that's what
would
I
you
mean. Like
ever
even,
understand it?
but I meant like even when a woman asks you to say you don't understand, like in the sense of like with you, that's why I asked you if you dated men
Mm,
without children, and they, you never said, well, you don't understand. No, they, because you know that they can. They'll love you enough to understand to a degree.
yeah, they
You see
can
what I'm
see
saying?
what you do. Yeah, they can
Yeah,
see what it takes, the effort it takes to raise.
exactly.
They can observe that. They can see, okay, especially if you're kin and they're
Hmm.
staying with you and they can see your routine, they can understand the complexity of raising children and how busy it can be.
Hmm.
Um, but for them to actually be that and experience that as a mother, well, it's not going to happen, is it? So they can only understand to a certain degree. That's right.
Exactly. And it's the same thing with anything. When someone's like, oh, I'm busy, you don't understand. You don't think the other person's busy too?
Yeah,
But no, they make an effort to fit you into their schedule.
yeah, for sure.
And
For
I
sure.
think that's what a lot of people don't understand. They keep saying, you don't understand. I got this going on. I got this. I got this. Then if you have too much going on, why are you in a relationship?
Absolutely. Absolutely. But it's even like down to friendships. It's like I know people that know me, they don't hear from me for a certain number of days. They know it's because, not because I don't want to speak with them, but because they know I will communicate. However, if I haven't spoken to someone for a number of days, it's because I've got a schedule going on. But
Mhm.
they accept that. It's not even an understanding, it's an accepting. But then we always do connect. That's why they friendships or business relationships have lasted for so long, because of the connection in between, because we do want to speak with one another. I do want to speak with them, they do want to speak with me. So if I haven't made the contact and then they make the contact, I will answer. And if it's that I can't answer in that moment, I will get back to someone, but that's because I want to.
Well, let's cover that. You see, in a relationship, it's a different level of responsibility. You see what I'm saying? Because in a
Yeah,
friendship, there's some people I don't talk to for months on end, and then we'll talk to them, and then it's like we just never left off. We just jumped off on the
it was
same
like,
page.
yeah, it was like
But
yesterday
in
we
the
spoke. Yeah,
but in the relationship context, completely different.
we can't do that.
Because now you're dealing with someone's emotions. You're trying
Yeah.
to build a life with them. You are trying to grow with them. You are trying to build a life.
Hmm.
So the responsibility level is a lot higher.
Yes. Yes.
And that's what I'm trying to say. If you can't commit to that, don't date people. If especially if you're not emotionally unavailable. That's the one I hate the most. Oh, I want love. I want someone to care about me. I want someone to take care of me. I want someone to show up for me, but I don't want to be emotionally available.
Yeah.
What?
Doesn't work. Doesn't work. You've got to show every part for a relationship. Otherwise, just don't go there in the first place.
Exactly. And that's the thing. That's only a decision that you can make within yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, but it all comes down to that, doesn't it, Michael? And every time, if like we said, started at the beginning, saying about excuses, that's a self thing. You know, you're showing up as a person with excuses. Like, do you want to be seen like that? Do you want to be known like that at the end of the day? You know,
Well, everything is adjustable. Like as I always say, it's about communication and verbalizing and not just hearing the person, but actually listening to the person
I'm taking it
and
on
coming
board.
up with solutions. If somebody tells you that we need to start doing date nights or we need to start spending time together, say, okay, I hear you. I'm going to commit to this in this day.
Yeah, done.
But people don't like being held accountable. They want to be
Hmm.
like, oh, I'll let you know,
Yeah,
with my schedule, I'll figure it out. I'm not looking for that.
no.
What I'm looking for And what people should be looking for, because in a relationship, you're held accountable for your actions. I know I've been held accountable for my actions and bad behavior because nobody's perfect. But what I'm saying is that you're looking for an answer. If you say, hey, we need to do more date nights, we need to spend more time together, okay, I hear you, I'm listening to you, I can commit to this, 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 and this.
Yeah. Yep.
Because that's a solution, not
Yes.
just, oh, I'll let you know. We're in a relationship that doesn't work.
It doesn't. But it's you know what? Again, they can relate it to even like what we do here, Michael. You know, when we started this, we've done 2 days a week.
Yeah, we did 2 days a week.
Because we both enjoy it and we love what we do and we've grown with it, we've committed to 3 days a week. It doesn't matter what's happening in our world. It doesn't matter what's happening in our world. We show up.
Yeah, guys, this morning was a tough one for both of
us.
Yeah,
for both of us, right? But we showed up. We could have both made up excuses this morning, but we didn't. And it would have been so easy to do that, Michael. And the same with the relationship, because we're committed to this business and to be able to have these conversations for people, because we're here to help make a difference and help people date better. We show up. Now,
well, that's what I'm saying. My biggest thing is commit to someone that commits to you.
Yes, absolutely. Because if I didn't commit to this, you couldn't be committed to me, and I'd be committed to you within this business. Because if one of us not showing up, then we're not showing up. So it doesn't work. There's no partnership anymore. Then you have to make up, or one of us would have to make up excuses to why the other person's not there. And none of us are willing to do that, because we understand everyone has their own self-responsibility. And if you're not in it, then get out.
Well, see, that's why I love one of my favorite people that I follow for personal development, and his name's Peter Vogel, and he said it's all about how you show up.
Yeah.
And if you can't show up in a relationship, you can't show up.
Mm-mm.
Own it.
Don't beat yourself up about it. Just know it and just
own it at least.
Yeah, own it.
Okay,
exactly.
You know what? I can't really show up for this person. I need to go self-reflect or heal or do whatever. And that's how I've always looked at it. If you can't show up, be honest. Because and the reason why I said that, and the reason why this topic is so important, is because if you cannot handle the responsibility of a relationship, and again, I'm going to say this from the highest level of highs, from a royal decree, when you're in a relationship with that person, and that person is like having to beg you to be responsible, beg you for date nights, beg you to open up, beg you for bedroom fun, that's not a relationship.
No. Doesn't even feel good. Even when you're saying it doesn't feel good. No, just the words don't feel good.
Is if I'm in a relationship with you, I shouldn't have to beg you for us to go on date nights.
No, not at all. No.
I shouldn't have to beg you to let me in.
No, exactly.
If I have to do that, that's more mentally exhausting for me to have to pull it out of you.
Yeah, should just be ease and flow. It should all just come together nicely.
Now I have to pull it out of you. Babe, what's wrong? Babe, what's wrong? Are you okay? I have to pull it out of you instead of you being like, hey, babe, can I talk to you? I have this and this going on in my life. Or if I have to drag you to date nights. Oh, I'm tired. Oh, I'm this. Oh, I'm this. In a relationship, I hated how people think that they're perfect and that they don't need correction. That's why I said correction is one of the skills that you need to be in a relationship. Yeah. If you are tired and you don't want to go on a date that night, give an alternative.
Yes.
Give an alternative. Oh, you know what, babe? Not tonight, but tomorrow I'll make some time for us.
Yes. And if you decide to make up an excuse the next day to say I'm tired and whatnot again, then walk away.
Well, you see, that's why I'm going to cover this. People get mad when people have checked out emotionally. Oh, it's all their fault. Well, no, you had to do a bunch of things to make them check out emotionally.
Yes, yes, yes.
Because maybe they were tired of begging you to do certain things. They were
Yeah.
tired of begging you for date nights. They were tired of begging you to open up to them. They were tired, for to beg you for to be emotionally available. They were even tired of begging you for bedroom fun. You got guys and girls out here that have to beg their partner to engage in an act that's beneficial for both of you, and you got one or either party begging each other, and then the person's wondered why, oh, they cheated on me. And you wonder why?
Isn't it
They're
funny?
having to beg you to do these things. Clearly, if someone's having to beg you for these things, you've already checked out emotionally.
Yeah, don't blame the other person. Take responsibility. I think this is the biggest thing, isn't it? People just don't take responsibility for themselves. They love to play the blame game. It's like the blame game. Yeah, the victimhood to the saying, oh, I'm the victim out of all of this. But that is just, it's so unattractive.
It is when you're with somebody, you gotta like beg to get these things, or like no, like they should want to go on a date with you. They should want to open up to you. They should want to have the bedroom fun with you. But if you have to beg for those things,
it's a different story altogether. It doesn't feel good.
It's like at the same time it doesn't feel good, and then that person, it can't handle the responsibility of it because that's part of being in a relationship. Now, obviously, there's like other things like obviously finances, living arrangements, all of those type of things. We're talking about the beginning stages. But it's like most of the time, because if you can't even do the basics in the beginning stages, how are you going to be able to do the harder stuff later?
Yeah, exactly, Michael. So
If
true,
you can't
right?
even if you can't handle the responsibilities of just going on date nights, emotional availability, bedroom fun, if you can't even handle those basics, what makes you think that you'll be able to handle when you guys need to move in together?
Yeah.
When you have living arrangements, when you need to get married, when you need to travel together, higher levels of responsibility.
So true, right?
It's like a house. You need a strong foundation to hold up the walls. If the foundation's weak, the walls are going to crumble. So if you can't handle the responsibility of the basics of just those basic things, and being able to give somebody that you claim to like or love the appropriate time, respect that they deserve, and you're still expecting to grow something fruitful from this, no, you're just being delusional.
So true, right? It's so true. It is delusional. You're very right, because you must be able to show up. And do you know what? It's amazing when you hear so many people play that victim and blame the other person, and he done this or she done that. And like you rightfully said, what was going on with your relationship for that to happen in the first place? And you hear people, most of the time, the person will be like, make the story they tell is to benefit themselves, to make them look like nothing happened and they done nothing and they showed up the best, and I done this and I done that, and then he just went and cheated. I bet it wasn't that way.
No,
I bet it wasn't. I bet there was something. There's multiple things in between that's led it to that. Sometimes it is. Sometimes there's men that just don't know how not to cheat. And there's women too. There's both sides of it. But I would say more often than not, there's more to the story. But
there always is.
Yes, but when people want to tell a story, Michael, they want to tell the story so it looks like it
that makes them look good.
Yes. So the other person can say what's the word? They can agree with what you're saying.
Oh, yeah.
And then they've got a conversation to go by, because you're agreeing with what's being. They're agreeing with you because of the way you're saying it, and they're in agreement. And the next thing you know, you can start putting the other person down, saying how bad this is, or he does that or she does that, and blah blah. Well, actually, look at yourself and how have you shown up in that relationship? Like, what's going on? And have you had a conversation? Have you communicated? Have you said how you feel? Probably not. And if you have, you probably showed up screaming and shouting, so I don't like this, and it hasn't been amicable. It hasn't been sitting down and communicating, right?
Agreed. And look, can we be honest for a while? And I don't want anybody to hate on anybody when I make these statements. There's people out here that will say that they want love and they don't want to commit to commitments. And what I mean by that is, guys, I know girls, and again, because this is just what I know, because I've never heard of guys canceling dates. It rarely happens. And don't get mad at women for doing this. I've heard of women saying, oh, I really want a boyfriend. I really want someone to love me, be there for me, understand me, and I want a family. But yet she's canceling on dates.
Yeah, you're gonna cancel your children when they come along.
No, but like I'm dead ass. Like I am dead ass. Like I'll talk to these single women. Oh, I want a boyfriend. I want a family. I want a kids. Cool, nice. I like that. That's awesome. Oh, I met somebody. Cool, awesome. I love it. Follow up with them a week later. How did it go? Oh, I canceled. What? So I'm sitting there, perplexed out of my mind, because the guy passed the test of being a good dude and all those other things, or the men, but yet she's canceling the dates. So then clearly you don't want it that badly.
Exactly. And what are you showing the man at the end of the day? If you're canceling your dates, then and you both want a family, what are you going to do? You're going to cancel on your children when they come along,
Well, not only that, this is where the caveat comes in. This is where the foolishness comes in. They'll cancel dates on men. Then when they get a little older or things change and they really, really want a guy, they want to pick up the phone, call the guys that they've canceled on, and then already find out that those guys are in committed, loving relationships or kids or getting engaged.
Then they
get upset and saying, damn it, that should have been me.
Yeah. So funny.
It's like, well, that could have been you if you could have gotten out of yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
And that's what I'm trying to say is, man, like, you really have to check, like, the responsibility, because it's like in a relationship, and again, no relationship's perfect, but they're perfect for you.
Yes.
But the thing is, you shouldn't have to ask somebody in a relationship if they love you.
No, you know what? Thank you for saying that. Thank you so much for saying that. It's so true. You know what? If I think of that, it actually makes me like, ooh, asking somebody, do you love me? Don't need to ask that question.
No.
Ever do you need to ask that question?
You shouldn't have to when it's your person.
Yeah.
Because think about it. That's like you asking your parents, do you love me? Like,
yeah.
Okay, like, what the hell? Like, they're going to be like, of course I do. But that's what I'm saying. When it's with the person that you're supposed to be, you shouldn't have to ask these questions. If you're having to ask these questions, you clearly need to do some healing and some work. And clearly, you don't really feel like loved. But that starts from you.
Yeah.
Because the biggest thing is, and we just talked about it 5 minutes ago, it's how you show up. If the person's showing up for you every single day and they're there and they're fighting for you, and when you guys disagree, they're coming back, they're showing up, you shouldn't have to ask the question of, do you love me? They're there. Presence speaks volume.
And I think a better question, if they're not showing up as much, is, do you want to continue a relationship with me? Because then you're in a place of asking a question that you know that you will have an acceptance behind, and you're not playing victim. You're just asking, would you like to continue this relationship with me? Then that way it's not about, do you love me? Because when you're saying someone, do you love me? It's like
you're seeking validation.
You're seeking validation, yeah. But asking the question, would you like to continue this relationship with me, is completely different, because you're opening an open question where they can say, well, actually, yes, I would like, and then you can ask them, why would you like to continue? Because I've just seen you haven't been showing up as much, or you haven't,
Bam. You see,
right?
exactly. Anthea said it. Do you want to continue this relationship? If the person says yes, then be like, why do you want to continue this relationship? And
Yeah.
it's more of a sense of this. And I'm going to add on to what she said is, are they willing to make the necessary adjustments? Because when you say, hey, you haven't been showing up as much as you used to, do you want to continue this relationship? If they say yes, you have to ask, well, what are you willing to change to keep
Yes.
this relationship?
Yes. Because up until at the moment, it doesn't look like you want to. So if you do, then why do you? And what are you going to do different
Yeah, what are
to
you
make?
willing to
Yeah.
change to
Yeah.
go forward in this relationship? And I think that's the key component to asking open-ended questions.
Yes. Yes.
Because
Yes.
if
Yes.
you're just like, oh, do you love me? Do you love me? It's like, you know what I mean? It's like you shouldn't have to ask that. You should just know. But if the person's not showing up like they used to, obviously because of life things or things have changed, just ask one simple question. Do you want to continue this relationship with me? Depending on the person's answer, you say, what? Well, why do you want to continue this relationship and what are you willing to change? Are you willing to show up?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I've just also seen comments that I've just replied to.
I've seen, maybe you've seen more comments than I have.
Well, because I for some reason it hasn't been showing up on the side, but I went on my phone and it was Claire Wilding saying hi, that she's watching. And Richard is bless you, Richard. Thank you. I did reply, said Anthea is a great and wise woman. She's amazing. Thank you so much. We have Joseph watching here. Hi, Joseph. He hasn't said anything, but I think Claire's just said thank you so much. Claire said, Anthea Moffitt, it was a pleasure. Thank you for discussing such wonderful topics. You are so welcome, Claire. And if there's any other questions you want to know about the topic, please do drop them below. We'll answer before we
Yeah,
wrap
we'll get
up.
Anthea to read it because I can't see the comments on my end, but we don't want you guys to feel like you're ignored.
No, we are. We can see.
But
We've just seen you. There's something going on with our comments, guys, because I
yeah,
haven't been able. It's only because I went on my phone I was able to see them, but I can't actually see them on the platform. And
yeah,
you're saying you can't see them either, right?
no.
No. So yeah, we need to sort that out. So listen, Claire, Richard, and who was the other person? Joseph, thank you so much for joining us today. And again, if you do have questions, drop them below. And if we don't catch them before we wrap up, then we'll respond once we're finished. And we can obviously discuss them on our next podcast as well.
Yes,
Yeah.
guys, please. Like we're taking questions, as you know, down in the bottom of the video. You can email us topics you want us to talk about. So
Yes, please do.
you know what I mean? Give your suggestions and stuff like that. And look, the reason why we talked about this topic is because we want you to get the love that you deserve.
Yes.
We don't want you to have to beg for it. We don't want you to have to plead for it. We want someone that's able to understand. Like, and this goes both ways. You need to understand the responsibility of a relationship. They need to understand the responsibility of a relationship. It goes both ways.
Yeah, it's not just one.
It's not
Absolutely.
just one, it's both ways.
Two people are showing up in this. So people, they say it takes two to tango. It really does. You really
It
do
takes
need
both
both
people to understand the responsibilities
the
of
steps
a
along the way.
relationship.
Yep.
Exactly. And understand them from a healthy standpoint. So that's the thing. If you know that you cannot handle the responsibility of a relationship, be honest with yourself and then be honest with them and separate.
And it will save you a lot of trouble and heartache. Trust, it will
It
save
will.
you a lot. So yeah.
So, anyways, guys, we'll cut this one short. It's just this one was a very passionate topic, and we will catch up with you guys next week.
Well, we'll be live tomorrow, Saturday.
Oh yeah, we'll be live
Yeah.
tomorrow for Saturday. Yes. So if you want to
Yes.
catch us, you can catch us tomorrow.
Instagram,
so
right?
Instagram, yeah. So we'll be
Yeah.
live tomorrow at 7. So if you guys want to chime in then tomorrow just to review some of the things that we've discussed, we'll touch base with you guys tomorrow.
And it's 7 o'clock Eastern and 12 noon GMT. So
Yeah.
hopefully we'll see you there on Instagram. You can follow both of us on Instagram, follow Love and Relationship on Instagram too. And you have yourselves a wonderful Friday, and we'll speak soon. Take care.
Take care.